Good morning, everyone. How are you? I said, good morning, how are you? Yay! I know this is a fantastic crowd, so I'm only going to ask once. What was the best part of yesterday? Can you pick one thing? I know I can't. If your day was like mine, it was engaging and stimulating. We had interesting conversations. We learned new things, I hope. We tackled some puzzles. We made notes of who we need to talk to after the conference, right? You are in for a wonderful day today, and we start with a great speaker this morning. As Gabby said, my name is Vicki Clark. I lead the development team at GFN, and it is such a pleasure to have all of you here together this week. It brings me great joy to see such representation of our board of directors, our sponsors, and our partners here as well. Your engagement in our work makes this event possible, and it allows us to continue to strengthen the network and reach more people. I am delighted to introduce this morning our first speaker of the day, Dr. Nidhi Pundhir. Dr. Pundhir has two roles at HCLTech, a global IT and innovation firm. Not only does she lead HCL's global corporate responsibility portfolio, but she is also the director of the HCL Foundation in India. These two roles allow her to keep HCLTech at the forefront of engagement with many communities that they are involved in. And her work is connected to nutrition, health, food security, and much more. HCLTech has long been supportive of GFN. We're so proud to have Carol Kreiner as our board chair and the generous support of HCLTech for the summit. Today, we're fortunate to hear directly from Nidhi about partnerships and strategies she has seen work in transforming rural and urban communities, especially in India. Her work and the work of HCL Foundation is providing insight and inspiration that I know we will all benefit from. With that, please join me in welcoming Dr. Nidhi Pundhir to the stage.
Wish you all a very, very good morning. Namaskar from India, and also wearing my global hat of the global lead for HCLTech, as Vicki said. Thank you so much, Vicki, for kind introductions. I would say I am a very, very grassroots level person. I have always worked in the communities, and I must put on records how much appreciation and admiration I have in person while talking to each one of you. Such an amazing institution, and what an amazing body of work all of you have across the world. So from 225,000 people of HCLTech, wish you all a very, very big success in all your endeavors that this summit is going to bring up. Thank you for having me here, and in the time that I have, I'm going to draw attention to how we work at the community level and how these practices, we are trying to bring them towards I would rather say that not just hunger, it's basically going towards combating malnutrition and identifying the issues with communities in participatory approaches, in approaches that strengthen the community-based ecosystems around food security, as well as how corporates can play a big role in combating not only just hunger, but malnutrition and the systems which can be put in place. I'm going to share with you some best practices. I just want to figure out, this is the button for, sorry. Okay, somebody could help me with the slide, please. Is this the John? Can I take your help? No. Okay, thank you so much. So that's about the group. I just shared almost 227 ideapreneurs, as we call ourselves, 159 nationalities. So you can imagine the kind of love we have for food banks, not only just as employees of HCLTech, which is a going to be $14 billion revenue company. And you can see the kind of love we have in 26 countries. We are seen as top employers. Going ahead, the corporate social responsibility policy that we have, and it can be found in public domain, is quite aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals. And goal number 1 and 2, which I think this entire summit is all revolving around, I'll share with you certain extremely community-based practices and how it is possible for us to move towards community approaches to kind of really take their opinion into account, especially into indigenous food practices, into assuring a sustained food security. That's a little humble attempt by us where we are spreading the practices globally. There'll be a CSR Council in Australia and New Zealand soon, and this visit has helped me connect here in the region as well. But those purple dots all over are our employees' councils who connect regularly with food banks. Especially I was with the FEBA group yesterday, and our employees are the ones who come forward and share about how critical food banks are in their own countries and the role that they are playing. Just to also let you know, there is an opportunity coming up, and I really want to convey my regards to all friends from American region here who applied generously to this grant last year that we rolled out on climate action. It's a $5 million over 5 years commitment by HCLTech on climate action, where in last year, I'm so proud to say that we had Brazil winning the grant, and it has gone to Argelando, and we are going to do the second edition very soon on October 24, International Day of Climate Action. The announcement will come to all of you as well. But through this grant, we have learned the kind of issues which are not very different. I think the world has to come as one community when it comes to combating climate change, and food has a big role there. Agriculture has a big role, as we all know. India, and that's my brief to share some of the practices with you. Big impact, 6.5 million lives is what we have been impacting over last 10 years, but I also want to share that it's almost 81 billion liters of water that we have also conserved. So it's also balanced action towards community and environment that makes our corporate social responsibility agenda quite rooted and aligned. Creating food secure world, I think while we have such a broad-based SDG aligned strategy in place, becomes the center of everything that we do. And it is the direct connect with farmers, it's a direct connect with women, especially the overall gender transformative strategies, and how do we really bring them into action, especially in a landmass which is so populated, which is hardly left with any kind of, I would say, land which is not into some kind of use. And that's where the public-private partnership models, unless we work closely with government, and I see most of you are having great relationship with government, we put in place formal memorandum of understanding with government, and we work as those models on ground which can then be scaled up. You can see in the picture amazing kids from Nagaland and how mothers groups came together, cooking the meals regularly and ensuring that food is resourced within the local community and it is grown locally as well. That little plate over there is something that may look easy, but I must tell you that so much research goes in identifying indigenous food practices. And that's something that really goes categorically for anybody and everybody, and who better than you understands the need for it. I was having a lunch table discussion yesterday, and I was told that how First Nations communities really need to be given the food that they would like to eat, and how difficult it is to source that food. Similarly, if you see that plate full of, and it's a fully vegetarian community, as you can see, to get them protein, to get them locally grown food, and also teach them where they got to relearn what their ancestors were having. Because malnutrition is rooted in genetic, it transits from one generation to another, and it's important for us to go back to the indigenous food that our ancestors were having, and there's a lot of research around that. So we went into these concepts of nutrition gardens at the backyard, wherever in rural communities there's space, and you can see in that small little place how one could grow leafy vegetables, how one could grow something which would completely do away with anemia, which is a big mission for us. Our research says that more than 40% of adolescents and pregnant mothers are struggling with iron deficiency and anemia. And nutrition gardens have proven to be one of the best mechanisms. I think it's also about how we put food security, conservation at the center of the rural development plans. And if you see that only village which has big shade, how the village comes together and contributes in the planning of their own village. And that's not a small meeting, it's almost like a summit like us, where if not from all over the world, the representatives of the community have walked miles and they have come for this meeting to understand how the local resources can be aligned towards their own development, especially conservation of commons, which is critical because that's the only land available for people in order to reclaim that land which otherwise is not fertile. It's also customizing for women the equipment that can be used, because the participation of women in farming otherwise remains quite undignified, and as a result their say in income is also something which goes silent. Whereas when we talk to them or when we do research, data clearly reveals that 80 to 90% is what is their participation in labor. It's just that when they're not seen working on machines, it's the image which really needs to change. And you can see we are spending a lot in innovation, investing, where we are looking at women-friendly agricultural equipment. That data out there, 42,000 women, where the average income is now reaching it may be a small figure here, but it matters a lot in the villages. But it is about having an account for them in the bank, which actually speaks a lot about empowerment. I think sports is less talked about, and nutrition, the role of nutrition behind that. And I did hear from some of the food banks how you are also supporting some of the sports communities, because a lot of talent doesn't come up, and that has been the focus of HCL Foundation in India. We've been working at absolute grassroots levels where children may not have 3 meals a day, forget about nutritious food. So after identifying talent, we put them into special tutorials with us where nutrition does become. So we study their entire the technique that the sport needs and the kind of muscle building that needs to happen. And I'm so proud to say, Joylin Anika, they're receiving Arjun Award from Honorable President of India, is very much our part of our group. And recently, Preeti Pal, who has gone to get a bronze at Olympics, is also identified and supported. And if not nutrition, if not identification of this unmet need, I don't think we would have been there. I think reversing the cycle of malnutrition, mothers, local community women have a big role, and also the indigenous. So it's the overall safety net that we need to be building. It's the overall understanding at the community level of food. So it's not like one-time provisioning of food, but it is understanding. And also, the first 1,000 days is critical in nutrition, and we've studied that. So not only from the time of conception of the baby to the second birthday, but also at the time of adolescent, and our anemia reduction programs have been extremely successful because of putting together the ecosystem of indigenous food, of community-based practices, or something that sustains over generations. And of course, playway methods, because it's just not about food and eating it, it's also about the stimuli that children need in that age. Water is something critical, and I think when we talk food, one important point I want to mention here is India is a water-stressed subcontinent, and a lot of our water gets exported. How? In the form of grains. Because we grow the grain there and we export it, and a lot of surplus also gets wasted in the storages when not deployed carefully. And that's all That's all about water. So we really need to take a comprehensive look at water. We've almost done 81, and these are all externally validated figures where we have definitely not included evaporation, but coming from sciences background, we all know evaporation is equally important. But then what is critical here is how much are we getting into nature-based solutions? Are we measuring our impact? Are we able to upscale? So it's all about the ponds, revival of ponds, again, which have a great connect with the communities which live around it, and they became a great attraction for local communities to come and do their planning and sustain it for a longer period of time. I'm so proud to say that it's almost 3,220 acres of water structure area that we have been able to rejuvenate. And being an IT company, we really don't, otherwise touch water, but it is a part of our CSR. A lovely partnership with Feeding America out there, and I think that's how we got attracted into food banks, and our employees just love volunteering. Of course, we do support in humble ways. And we are definitely considering to scale up the model in India and other geographies. Disasters have been a talk of the summit, and I understand that most of you are highly experienced in responding to disasters, and that's when everybody remembers food banks, and I completely agree with you that more than just relief, we really need to focus on preparation, and we have lots to learn from you. That entire team on the picture that you see is HCL Foundation team. We did we do in every disaster a mini food bank at our own community sites. All that material is literally procured or donated to us. We do the segregation, and you can see in full of, wherever we just walk and make the relief supplies available for people who need it. But we have a lot to learn from all of you. I think all this happens only because of most amazing partnerships. More than 200 charity partners is what we financially partner with, and more than almost, I would say, double the number is part of our network, not only in India, but also globally because of the HCLTech Americas grant now. And all those tiny faces that you see is the team that makes it happen. There are 450 people in HCLTech CSR team, HCL Foundation team, and through our partners, we have more than 2,500 people who make all of this happen. And I focus just on food security, but then we have artisans collectives, which also in turn play a big role in achieving livelihood security, which is closely linked to food security. So it is the integrated community development approaches. How do we really make the model work at the community level? How do we really sustain it? And how do we really partner in rural and urban communities where they become champion of the cause is what I am talking about. I leave the list of partners should you be interested, and of course government is our biggest partner in making all of this happen. So just a quick sharing of best practices. I can always share more with you over coffee conversations, but thank you so much for having me here. I leave you with a short video on one of the best practices on how indigenous food completely turned around the cycle of malnutrition in a community of West Bengal. So thank you so much for all your time and attention.